I don't believe that all popular books are worth reading. That was definitely made clear to me when I read this book. For this book, everything I know about love, I know it's been really popular and a lot of people have been recommending it, but me personally, I just really did not like this book. I did like some of the parts where she's talking about female friendships and how women can be there for each other, and a friendship is also a valid type of love. But the rest of the book for me just didn't really click. I think the author kind of comes off as really selfish and self-centered in this book, which is not really an enjoyable thing to read. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone has to be perfect, but at least be interesting if you're gonna write a book. And also it just really reminded me of those like really mean girls in college who are so boy crazy and they'll do anything to get a boy to like them, but when it comes to like friends, they don't really care what's going on and all they care about is themselves. So it kind of brought up some bad memories for me while I was reading this book, and maybe that's why I really don't like it, but it's just one of those things that a lot of people talk about, a lot of people love this book, but I just really didn't enjoy it that much. But with that being said, Normal People is another one of those books that a lot of people talk about and a lot of people love this book so much, and I also really like this book. I'm really glad that I decided to read this. I think her writing style is really creative and really interesting, and she's a very talented writer as well. There are a lot of times in this book where the time jumps from a month or a week or even 6 months, almost a year ahead of time, but it never feels like hard to understand what's going on. It's very easy, it flows very seamlessly, and I feel like it takes a very talented writer to be able to pull something like that off. And if you don't know, this book is basically about the relationship between a boy and a girl, but it follows them through a long period of their life, many years of their relationship, and they're kind of on again, off again, that kind of relationship. I think if you're a little bit older and reading this book, then you might find their relationship really frustrating because they can never really figure things out and there's a lot of miscommunication. But I think in your 20s, that's really realistic. So reading this book, I think for a lot of people around my age is really realistic of what a relationship might be like. I'm not saying it's a healthy thing, but it happens a lot. For me, sometimes I was a little bit frustrated by their relationship and the miscommunications, but I also was just reminded of that feeling that you get when you meet someone for the first time, but you connect so well, it just feels like you've known them your entire life and you can't imagine your life without them. I think this kind of feeling is really rare, like it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing, but when I was reading this book, I just felt like they have this connection. Like I cannot imagine a world where they don't know each other, and I cannot imagine a world where they're not somehow in each other's lives. But I think the author does a really good job of showing how people with this kind of unique and really deep connection are still gonna be in each other's lives no matter what's going on. And even if they're fighting or even if they're not really talking, if one person is going through something hard, then they're gonna show up for that person and they're gonna help each other out and support each other. And I just couldn't put this book down. I just kept wanting to know what was gonna happen next. It's really a page turner. So if you're kind of going through a reading rut, then I think this would be a good book to start back up again. And I also just really like her writing. I don't know, it just really connects with me, the way that she's writing. And there were some parts in the book that just really hit me really hard. For example, there's this one quote in the book where she says, "Could he really do the gruesome things he does to her and believe at the same time that he's acting out of love? Is the world such an evil place that love should be indistinguishable from the basest and most abusive forms of violence?" I almost cried when I read that for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, it just really connected with me. There are a few moments in the book like that where I just really was blown away by her writing. I just really loved her book so much. But that's not to say that it's a perfect book. There were some things that really frustrated me about this book. Like, for example, the way that their background, the character background is kind of set up is really basic. Like, the girl is very rich, she's very privileged, but she has a terrible family. And the boy is very poor, but he has a loving mother. So it's just kind of one-dimensional for me. And also her family doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the way that her brother is written is just so weird to me. He's just so unnecessarily cruel to her. The only times that he shows up in the book, he's just being so abusive to her for no reason, and there's no like explanation of why he acts like that. And I just wish we could have some more depth to that relationship, like, you know, maybe showing sometimes when they do get along or when they do have a good relationship, and then that could make the contrast a little bit more extreme and more shocking and kind of help the story a little bit more. Also, her mother is just like, I don't even remember if she even says that much in this book. She's just barely even there, which is fine, but I just kind of felt like their background was a little bit flat. And same with the boy in this book. You know, his mom is great, but he's poor, and then she's rich, but her family is not good, and then their relationship kind of reflects that. But I just wish there was a little bit more of that background. And I also loved her writing so much that the past weekend I went to the bookstore and I actually picked up her newest novel. So this one just came out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, so I'm really excited to get into this. I've heard some pretty mixed reviews about this book, but I really love her writing, so I think I'm gonna enjoy this one. It's a bit longer than I was expecting because this book is not that long, but then this book is kind of huge in comparison. And I'll definitely let you guys know how this book is after I finish it. I'm planning to finish it pretty soon, but I haven't even started yet, so we'll see. And while I was at the bookstore, I also picked up another book, of course, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one too. I think if you watch my channel, you'll know that I love R.F. Kuang so much. I loved Yellowface and I loved Babel so much, and this is the first book she wrote, I believe, and it's a trilogy, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this. She's another author that I feel like is just so amazing. She's probably one of my favorite authors that's alive right now, and I heard that she has a new series or a new book coming out next year, and I'm really looking forward to that, but I want to finish this one first. That's basically it for this video. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on some popular books that I've been seeing going around recently, and I really don't think all of them are worth reading. Like this one, I personally wouldn't recommend it. But for normal people, I definitely do recommend this book, especially if you're interested in, you know, how complicated relationships can be, but how people can still find a way to stick together. I thought it was really good. But let me know your thoughts, maybe if you've read any of these books and how you feel about them, or what kind of books that you guys like to read. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye-bye.